Hi, welcome back. My name is Jenny Lester, and this is the final video in a series of 4 designed to help musicians play with other musicians. This is a skills sharing video thanks to Creative BC for the initiative. In the first video, we took a look at basic music theory for the dialogue of communicating with musicians. In the second video, we looked at arranging a song and all the body parts and a chord progression and how it's all put together. The third video, we looked at how to sing harmony, a way of structuring that for practice and clear intention. In this final video, it's an opportunity to think about how to practice and prepare for being in a jam session or perhaps in a band or band leadership situation. It's taking the transition from going from playing alone to playing with other people. And that's a big leap because sometimes we can get into our own world and we can develop patterns and habits that we don't even realize are happening. But if you have a check to, in your practice, a checklist to compare or to sort of monitor how you're practicing, I'm going to try and show you some really clear ways to think about practice that'll help your brain develop the skills to both listen and to create at the same time. Thanks very much for this part of the journey. I was a musician growing up in a family band and started playing fiddle when I was 7. And I had learned from watching mandolin players and being in a band, and we had to learn songs and put the songs together and do all the arranging. So please go back and watch all the other videos because it's been a lifetime of figuring out what's really important in all the details. So in this video though, I want to talk about the 3 key elements that make music. Without these 3 elements in place, if you're missing any one of them, you have a sound other than music. It's a noise of some other kind. These elements all need to be together to make that cake happen, and those are tuning, timing, and tone. Now there's more to that and there's more going on, and I just want to break it down to the 3 basic ingredients because each of these are endless in their exploration and development. The basics of tuning go all the way from what is your instrument tuned to, is it 440, to what key are you in, what scale are you using, is it a minor scale, is it a major scale, is it modal, what is the melody of the song? So actually learning and creating, and that falls into tuning, the melody, that's the notes that you're selecting to sing or play on your instrument. The next in tuning is when you add more than one note. So the melody is one note. When you start adding more than one note, you get chords going, and you might need to practice your finger skills on your instrument for creating those chords. You might need to practice singing harmony to create vocal chords. Timing is the main beat of which you're playing, the tempo, and it's also the rhythm of which you're playing. And this is where all of these parts are what start to define the genres and the cultures of where music came from. And the more your ear becomes discerning in the subtleties of the different kinds of tuning and the different kinds of timing, the more you become knowledgeable about different parts of music all over the world. And you break free of being inside of a box. These are endless in their possibilities. The more you practice them, the more you'll understand them. And now in roots music, some of the important words to be able to say are, we're going to do a song in 3/4 time, 4/4 time. That's part of the rhythm. Where do the accents go? How many beats per measure are you counting in a pattern that is called rhythm? You can feel the difference between a bluegrass band and a calypso band, an Irish band, and a blues band. You find them in different places, or mixing together. But everybody has different feels, and then there's an endless spectrum to music. One of the things that you need to practice is to, in rhythm, get your chords into progression, and that means, do you know your patterns? Can your chords go from making the fingers or making the sounds into changing as they need to in the right feel keeping a steady tempo. So you see how all of these things are your checkmates. You ask yourself, how am I doing on all of these? And now when we come to practicing, the most important one to talk about is tone. Every time you make a sound, the quality of it is called tone. Tone in your singing is your chest voice, your head voice. Tone is, do you know if it's a female, a male, electric guitar, a tuba, a bass? So what instrument is it? Tone is the quality of the sound of that instrument. Everybody's got preferences. Do they like a Martin guitar? Would you prefer a Fender guitar? Do you like the tone of a ukulele? Do you like the tone of a banjo? But the quality of sound also lets you know how you're doing in your production of the sound. Tone will let you know if you're making a note and it's buzzing, or if it's nice and clean. And you can demonstrate tone by playing hard back at the bridge and moving the guitar up, or the pickup, and playing. You feel all the different tones. If the guitar is touching your body or if it's not, it has a different tone. So the quality of sound is also endless, and it's a preference as well. But it's a good checkmate because are you creating the tone you want as you are practicing your tuning and timing? So I'm first going to ask you to think about how you practice when you're alone. When you're alone, I want you to very first organize by thinking. Thinking is something that will influence and it dominates over timing. If you have to think, you'll drop your timing. So don't worry about timing to begin with. I want you to think about the tuning and the notes. So say I was taking a little melody of a song, I would work out what each one of those notes is, whether I'm reading it from the paper, whether I'm getting it from a source, whether I'm writing it as a composer. You're thinking about all the notes that are going into it. Then you need to teach your muscles how to play it. So again, don't worry about the timing yet. Like say I want to play Wildwood Flower. I would go, what is the melody? It's... And so I'm thinking and I'm checking and I'm listening and I'm getting it right, and I might need to practice and maybe I'm learning it off something. When I'm trying to figure out those notes, I need to teach my fingers where to find them, and sometimes they make a mistake, and that's okay. They're just looking and they're looking for the best way to approach. So you're still not putting in timing. You're thinking about your muscle movements, or in your singing, you're teaching yourself scales, like how to move from one interval to another, and you're just teaching your body how to make that physical movement. So you need to teach your muscles. Then add timing. So as soon as your muscles know what to do, get this into the program. Timing does two things. It helps your brain learn to listen at the same time as you're creating. But it also, if you add timing to your notes in the way that you are not alone, if you add a metronome or you play along with a recording, what happens is your body has to adapt to the metronome or to the recording. It doesn't follow you. So you need to be honest in following it, or everybody will get off track, and it's your good practice. I call a metronome the best friend because he's the drummer who hasn't been drinking. It's the drummer who hasn't been drinking. And say I wanted to play Wildwood Flower, and I just randomly turned on the metronome. Okay, I made a mistake. I did a check. My hand knew the first couple notes, but when it went to go to the next couple notes, it didn't know what to do. So what I do is go as slow as it takes to be right when you add the timing. And so I would practice over. Listen first. Always listen to your source. Try and get it into your body. Now that was nice, or I got through it, but there's more I could do, so I could just stay there. Until my tone felt like I was getting the quality of the ringing of the notes and the roundness. My hand was in the right position. So the first step was to think about the tuning. The second step was to add in the timing. And then as I'm doing it, I'm always assessing, am I getting it, am I practicing that to the point where I like my tone? And you're happy with the tone, and tone changes and moves through a song. It gets quiet, it's dynamics. So it's a big part of everything in the background of music. What I want to do is get to the point that my brain can stop thinking about what I'm creating and start grocery shopping or wondering if I turn the kettle off, be able to multitask and do something else. On is working to get to the skill of muscle memory. Muscle memory is what I was talking about before, when you get to the point where your brain can stop thinking and it can do something else, preferably without losing the right notes, without losing the timing, and not sounding and the quality you don't want to produce. You want to be in the tone and getting it there. So the more you practice the standards of those in muscle memory, the more when you get put under fire by playing with other people in a moment that's going to go live and pass by, you're going to be more equipped with all these very solid tools because you've learned how to listen and you don't have to think, you're not holding on with your bare hands to get into it. So the more I can play with recordings, to me the more valuable my practice time, because I'm getting influence from masters who I trust. And all of the goal in all of this is to create a discerning ear. Like if your ear can tell the difference between one sound to another and the qualities of sound. So as you build, you're becoming more discerning. So that brings us to playing with live. When you are practicing for playing with live, there's a couple considerations. One is keep listening and try and match whoever it is you're playing with in the nature of the jam session. If it's a bluegrass jam, you might be following kind of the bluegrass etiquette. If it's old time, there's different ways of playing. If it's a country jam, you might want to bring that. Sometimes people want to play Irish and so that, and then there's campfire jams and there's open jamming where anything goes. There's jam sessions where there's no structure to the song. It's jamming, someone's creative, and it's improv jamming. Awesome fun. So there's different ways of live jamming, but if you have practiced being able to listen to other things, a recording is excellent to play along with recordings from start to finish. Check your lyrics. Are you guessing if your lyrics are right when you're singing the song, or are you waiting for the artist to tell you what the lyrics are going to be still? Do you own it? Check your work against recordings. See if you can sing in time, get the feel, the phrasing of who your inspiration, your mentor, your tradition might be. Play with other people so that you feel what it's like to be in their world. When you're live, you will be live, but the difference between recordings and live is you might have to let go of what you think is going to happen in live. So in a recording, it's predictable. You can go over 600,000 times, no problem. But live, it's going to go by once with somebody else who's in control of the reins. Let's talk about when you are directing a jam session live. When you are in a jamming circle or whichever way of participating in genres of music that you're jamming, a few key notes is make eye contact with the people in the circle that you're playing music with. The second one is know an arrangement or how to arrange in your head that you can make eye contact and direct. So go back and watch the video on arranging and putting the body parts to a song together. Have the concept of an arrangement going in your head. Now be flexible depending on how many musicians are going, but if you Keep it simple in a jam session if you need to keep in the more difficult of material, the higher level of musicianship involved. This is why practicing your brain being able to listen, because somebody might skip a beat or add a measure or have a different way, a different feel, a different tempo, total different rhythm. You might think the song is in 3/4 and they think it's in 4/4. So when it comes to live, that's where it shows of playing with other people, you're jamming. That shows your adaptability. How do you know anything outside of G, C, and D? Can you play in the key of B, F? What are your limitations? What are your, trust me, no matter what your limitation is, there's always room to grow, because that's the beauty of music. Then if you want to really get microscopic about your own playing, I really encourage you to do recording of yourself. Sitting down and recording with Audacity, GarageBand, all these different programs that are free. The very first thing you would do is go figure out what you're going to do. Say you're going to do a song, you figure out your key and your scale and you sort of get it all organized. Then you go, okay, what tempo am I doing that at? And set a click track. And if you can record to a click track by yourself, if you're not by yourself, you might be with a band, then you're in the not alone. That means you're in the live and you're in the recording. But you see how these elements all put it all together. The big check that you always ask yourself, chest voice, head voice, pressure, quality, is the quality of sound. Are you making the sound that you want for the genre, for your instrument? What is it that you want to be doing here? What's your quality of sound? I'd like to close out by quoting one of my favorite fiddle players, Bobby Hicks. Sacrifice nothing for speed. This is a really true statement about how to practice for me, because in a live setting, you get one shot at it and it goes by and it is what it is. But when you're practicing, you're there with the intention to build your skills. And I'm not saying don't play fast. If you are playing fast so that you push yourself, so that you know where your limits are, that's excellent, because you're trying to figure out where to grow. If you speed up, does the quality drop off of your sound? Does it become sloppy or muted or muffled, or does your voice hurt? As you speed up, did your timing get so it felt like it was pushing or pulling against everything, or was it still in the pocket? When you sped up, is your tuning still, are you still articulating the true chords, the true melody? Did anything get sacrificed? And if yes, then you go back and go, oh, there was my limitation, and go from there as your next growing point. Once again, thank you, Creative BC, for this opportunity. There's also more information available at jennylester.com.